Hi everyone, welcome to the second introductory video for this class on critical reasoning. Like I said in the first video, my name is Leah. You all can call me Leah, that's what I go by. No need for professor or anything like this. And I'm going to be your instructor for this class. So, like I mentioned in the first video, this video, the second video, is going to be about getting into the nitty-gritty details of the syllabus. So I can tell you all right now that the very first assignment for this class, which is called the Module 1 worksheet, is going to be covering things that I discuss in this video. It's essentially a questionnaire that is going to, or rather a quiz that is going to quiz you on the content of the syllabus. So if you want to pause the video, go pull up the Module 1 worksheet and fill that out while you're watching. Be a great way to get two things done at once. All right, so the first page of the syllabus here has all the important course information, mainly being my name, the email address that you can contact me at, and my office hours, as well as the Zoom link to my office hours. I would like to note really quickly, I'm going to zoom in here. General questions about the course. So perhaps questions about what a particular question is asking, things like this, due date clarifications, or maybe issues on Blackboard, like a link is broken or you're unable to, effectively download some PDF, some assigned reading or something like this. Please post those questions to the general Q&A forum on Blackboard. If you have a question like that, chances are other people in the class do too. So you're doing me a favor in not having to answer that question a bunch of times over email individually. Also, check the Q&A forum first, because again, if you're having that issue, other students might as well, and somebody may have already asked me that question on the Q&A forum. So if you're feeling confused about something, go to the Q&A forum, check that. If you don't see anything there, post your question. And then, things of a more personal nature, say if you need an extension for a particular assignment or something like this, there's something going on, some kind of family emergency, obviously, you're welcome to email me. And when you email me, and this is an important question that is going to pop up on the Module 1 worksheet. When you email me, you must include 5169 or critical reasoning in the subject line. And the reason for this is because for those of you that have had an email account with CUNY in the past, our inboxes get really full. I'm also a graduate student finishing my dissertation. So I'm at the Graduate Center. I'm at several different universities. I'm teaching a full load. I'm teaching several classes this term. I have a lot of students. I have a lot of people emailing me. And I don't care about, the main thing that I care about is answering emails from my students when it comes to my CUNY email. Everybody else can wait. And so the way that you can prioritize yourself in my very messy inbox that gets lots and lots of emails every day is by writing the name of the course in the subject line. If you do not include the name of the course in the subject line, it is possible that I might miss your email. Now, I would never do that on purpose, but it has happened. So the best way to ensure that I get back to you ASAP is if you put the name of the course in the subject line. Okay. All right. So in the first video, I talked about things concerning the course description. The official course description listed at the top here is the one that you would have read when you were signing up for the class, in the undergraduate course catalog from Lehman. All of that's consistent with, what we're doing here. And then everything I have written below here is, again, things that I covered in the previous lecture video. If you're curious, you're welcome to take a minute and read through that on your own, as well as the student learning outcomes or the course objectives, right? So like I mentioned in the first lecture video, or like I mentioned in the first introductory video, we're going to be really analyzing arguments. And by arguments, we mean thoughts, opinions, positions on things. We're going to be evaluating evidence, seeing if someone's giving good evidence to believe what they're saying. We're also going to be looking at how on that day-to-day level, that process of evaluation, or even like our own way of deliberation, as in like thinking through things, like our own ability to think through things, is subject to being manipulated and messed with. So one of the other course objectives in this class is going to be kind of positioning yourself to withstand that kind of manipulation, really getting clear on why you think what you think, and finding ways to say, maybe not let certain things you see on social media or something like this get in your head. And lastly, because largely the nature of this course, it being an asynchronous class, you're going to get some practice writing. I would like to say right now, in case anybody is stressed out about the writing part, there are no essays in this class. And I'm going to discuss this in a little bit. You are never going to be marked down for a typo, grammatical error, things like this. This class is more about, it's almost like people that have maybe like journals or things like this. Like, it's going to be that style of writing. It's really about you learning how to clearly get down on paper, hey, this is the core of someone's argument. This is the core of what they're saying. This is their main point. This is their evidence. Or getting really clear on, being able to explain, like, this is what this concept means. Also getting good at clearly explaining why you think what you think, giving your evidence in support of your views on things. All right. Course materials. Everything is available on Blackboard. You have already paid for this course. I just, as my own personal moral stance on when it comes to textbooks, is students already pay for a course, they should not have to pay for textbooks. Now, I understand that's just not workable for some professors, but I have set up the course curriculum in such a way where it is workable for me. So everything you need for this class is on Blackboard. I will also be posting another very short video on navigating Blackboard. Hopefully you've kind of poked through, or you will poke through, like clicking on different things on the menu on Blackboard, on the course Blackboard site, so you can kind of get a sense of where things are. But if you're feeling confused, I'm going to be posting another video where I go through, show you where everything is, where you find readings, these sorts of things. And if you ever have any trouble finding something, you don't see something, you feel like you're missing something, you are welcome to check the Q&A forum. And then, if you're feeling like it's like a weird thing, you don't really know how to frame your question about, like, I just feel like I'm missing something, you can also always email me. And this takes me to actually the second point. Like I mentioned, so the second point, or sorry, the next thing I'm going to be talking about on the syllabus, the course format. So like I mentioned in the first introductory video, I understand, or I am assuming, that the vast majority of people here are both freshmen and have either never taken an asynchronous class before, like these classes where you don't have to show up at a certain time, you just have to turn everything in by the due dates. So I'm assuming that the majority of people here either have not taken a class like that, or they've maybe only taken like one class. So bearing that in mind, I've set up things in a way to hopefully really help you not feel too stressed out about stuff, but also really push you to stay on top of your work. Don't like essentially you're logging into the course Blackboard every week. And I'll discuss this in a little bit. There's going to be a very small assignment due that's every week. The majority of this class is going to be a bunch of very small, low stakes writing assignments. And then engaging a little bit on the discussion board, which again, I'll talk about in a minute. Part of that though means part of me tailoring this course to people that maybe don't have a lot of experience taking a course in this format, also means that I want to be available to communicate with you. I know sometimes these async classes, you can kind of feel like you're left out floating and you're all by yourself and you don't really have, because we're never there to meet in person. That just like psychologically, I think like that connection just kind of makes a person feel like they know what's going on, they know what's expected, and not having that can kind of make people feel sometimes like they're floating out in space. And I really don't want anyone here to feel like that. So there's going to be a couple of things that I have done to help sort of ensure that no one feels that way. The first one is going to be I'm here. You can email me at any time. I'm happy to set up Zoom appointments, but also I'm happy to set up like phone appointments as well. Like we don't have to do video, things like this. I'm always happy talking to students on the phone. We can make time for that. You also are also welcome to stop by during office hours over Zoom. And the second thing that I'm doing, as you'll see on the module 1 worksheet, there's a little questionnaire at the beginning. And I ask there if you would like to participate in a group chat with your fellow classmates. Essentially, instead of just by default handing out everybody's info to one another, I don't like doing that. I think it's a violation of privacy. I'm asking your permission to share your email address with other students. From there, the people who say yes, I'm going to be sending out a mass email, sharing all your information with one another. And then from there, you all can decide what format you want the group chat to take on. So I think every single time that I have done this, which has been for several years now with many, many classes, everybody's opted for WhatsApp. So yeah, from there you can coordinate something like WhatsApp if that's what works for everyone, or if there's a different format that you think might work well, you can do that as well. All right, so the last bit I wanted to touch on about the class format, something that I said in that first introductory video as well. This is going to be about time management. This class is going to be about setting aside time every single week to do work in this class. And part of that is sometimes just looking at the syllabus, looking at the course schedule, seeing not just what you have due this week, but what you have due next week, how much reading or video watching you might need to do and things like that. Just really planning, envisioning that for yourself in the future. So in general, you should anticipate spending between 4 and 6 hours on coursework every week for this class. Some weeks it might be a little bit lighter. It might be like a couple hours, or it might be, it could be 2 or 3. It could be 2 or 3 hours. But again, doing well in this class is about staying organized, staying on top of those due dates. And so just making sure to even schedule 15 minutes for yourself every week, regardless of how much your schedule moves around and how many other things you have going on, saying like, okay, Mondays at 10:30 a.m. or at 4 p.m. or whatever, like setting a specific time, saying that's when I'm going to sit down for like 15 minutes. I'm going to look over the syllabus one more time. I'm going to see the readings I have to do or the videos I have to watch. And then I'm just going to glance at the assignments that I need to get done for this class. Just doing that, even that 15 minutes every week, is going to help you. I promise you, it makes the difference of like a full grade. You just stay more on top of stuff. It's in the back of your mind, and it just makes it easier to stay on top of things, since we are not meeting, in person at any set specific time. It can be really easy for like a couple weeks to go by and you to be like, I forgot about that class. You're taking on a lot. I know it's like your freshman year. It's the beginning of a whole new thing for a lot of you. So just even like taking that 15 minutes will really help. So if you're feeling like, oh God, I don't know how to do 4 to 6 hours every week, set that in my schedule. Fine. Don't worry about it. Pick 15 minutes, same time every week, to just sit down, look at the course schedule on the syllabus, which I will talk about in a moment. On the note, actually, of time management, as I mentioned, I am horrible about time. I have something that often gets referred to as time blindness, because I have ADHD, and I wish that I had gone to a university, or like when I was an undergrad, when I was in your position, I cannot tell you how much I wish I would have just gone to my university and got my diagnosis filed and got accommodations for things at Lehman in particular. You have a lot of resources, not just for like if you have a formal diagnosis for something, but if you find that you're struggling staying focused in class, or if you're really struggling with time management, or if you're even struggling with a particular professor in some cases, maybe like you're just like, you feel like no matter what you do, you're not doing any of the things that professor likes. You can talk to disability services. You can also talk to counselors. There's at the counseling center at Lehman. Like in particular, if you're really feeling like overwhelmed by like the whole college experience, go to disability services. If you have a disability, a documented disability, absolutely here to make accommodations for it. If you suspect that you have a disability, talk to disability services, see if you can get accommodations made. Getting extra time for things like assignments and especially exams and quizzes, things like that. Those are things that Lehman can make available to you. And I think in a lot of ways, this is something that universities owe students. Your tuition pays for the existence of disability services. So utilize that resource if you feel like that's something that you need. And, insofar as what's going on in this class, if you have something on file with disability services, they should have notified me. If they haven't, you're welcome to talk to me about it. If you don't have anything on file with disability services, but you want some accommodations, say, I'm going to talk about in just a moment course requirements and what exams are going to be looking like in this class. If you're someone that's like, I get really overwhelmed like with these timed exams, come to me. And we can talk out like a set, like, okay, fine, you get an extra 48 hours for exams, things like this. I'm more than happy to make those accommodations regardless of what you can show me on paper as like a documented disability, because this class is about accessibility. All right. Okay, course requirements. So there are 5 different graded course requirements in this class. So it's like 5 types of assignments you're going to do in this class. The first one is goals and reflection assignments, 10% of the grade. They're 20 points each. They are extremely easy. You can go on Blackboard right now, click on Module 1. Underneath it, you will find all of the readings, lecture videos, and assignments that are going to be assigned during this module period. And there, under Module 1, one of the assignments you're going to see is the course goals assignment. If you take a peek at that, you'll see it. It'll take you no time to do it. It's very straightforward. It's yeah, you'll see. You'll see as soon as you take a look. But if you have any questions, of course, you're welcome to post in the Q&A about it or send me an email. All right. the second kind of assignment you are going to be doing in this class, and I sort of vaguely alluded to this a little bit ago, are the discussion board assignments, which I refer to as DBAs. So these assignments are going to make up 30% of your grade, and but they're only worth 10 points each. So these are little assignments that are due every week. And what you will do with these assignments, and again, you'll be able to find the DBAs that you'll be able to find individual DBAs under the corresponding module period to which they are assigned. So we don't have any DBAs for this first module period, but starting with module period 2, you will have a DBA, a discussion board assignment, due every week. So if you click on the tab marked module period 2 on Blackboard, you're going to see links to the discussion boards for the DBAs that are assigned during that module period. If you don't see them, that means that maybe you watched this video very early and I just haven't had a chance to post it yet. So if you don't see them, you'll be able to see them shortly. And so what these assignments generally do is I'm going to pose some questions about some things maybe talked about in lecture video or assigned readings, podcast videos, things like this, other videos. And you're going to post a thread. You're going to answer those questions. You're going to answer that prompt. That's the first part of the assignment, okay? The second part of the assignment is you are going to write an objection to another student's post. Now, objections are not the same as replies. So an objection to another student's post means that you're going to disagree with something that they said. Or you're going to say maybe their argument is missing something important, like missing an important piece of evidence, things like this. And when it comes to the specifics of, what objections look like, things like that, if you're feeling like, I don't really understand what she's saying here, I have a very detailed grading rubric for these DBA assignments that you can find under the instructional videos and rubrics tab on Blackboard. So again, that is going to be a tab that you can click on that Blackboard menu. And once you click on that, you'll find the rubric for the grading rubric for DBA assignments. So there I give some examples of what objections should look like and things like this. So be sure to take a look at that if you're feeling confused. Additionally, I essentially use that rubric to grade your assignment. So, if you mess up the first time around, like you have something that is really a reply to another post and it's not actually an objection, I'll spell that out. I'll remind you of the criteria on the grading rubric, and you'll be able to know what you did wrong and then fix it for the next DBA assignment. Speaking of maybe not doing things perfectly the first time around for that first DBA assignment, bear in mind that the lowest 2 DBA scores will be dropped from your grade. So say you really didn't do well on that first one, you got like 3 out of 10 or something like this, right? Worst case scenario, that could just be one of the DBAs that don't count towards your grade. Or say you have a lot of stuff going on one week and you just totally forget to do your DBA for that week, right? You'll get a 0, and at the end of the term, if that's one of your 2 lowest grades, that 0 will be dropped. So you don't have to worry too much about that. On the note of forgetting to submit a DBA, I really need to reiterate this. It's very important to understand. Provided, and I'll talk about this in a minute, you're talking with me, like I will give extensions for assignments with the exception of DBAs. no late discussion board assignments will receive credit. Okay. Now, I will be offering extra credit throughout the class, things like this. So if you miss out on a DBA, or you miss out on several DBAs, something happens, something comes up, and you're like, this is killing my grade, please let me make up this assignment. We can find other ways for you to make up those lost points, but the DBAs, they are due every Sunday at midnight, almost with the exception of this Sunday and maybe like one other Sunday, I think this semester, you're going to have a DBA due every Sunday. So same time every week, you're going to have, so you really will need to log on to Blackboard at least once a week, because you will have assignments due. You have a DBA that is due every week, on Sunday. All right. Okay, the next kind of assignment that you will be doing in this class is are the module worksheets. So and I'm gonna we'll look at this really quickly below it, or in the syllabus below, the schedule, the course schedule below in just a minute. But as you'll see in that schedule, this course is organized into 5 separate module periods. So it's like sort of like 5 different themes we're gonna cover in this class. And at the end of each module period, you're gonna answer some short questions, like 5 to 10, sometimes a little, maybe like 11, 12 questions on the material that we've covered. Those are short answers, so like between 3 and 5 sentences. And then 1, sometimes 2 long answer questions. So this is going to be like more of a bigger chunk of writing. And for those of you who opt into the WhatsApp group chat, something that I really want to emphasize here is you are welcome to work with your classmates and talk through things. I think that can be a really helpful thing in many cases. Everybody works differently. Sometimes, I know, and especially if you've maybe had some bad experiences working on assignments with other students, I can understand some hesitancy there. But at the very least, if you're feeling confused, you're like, I don't remember her talking about this thing. Like, where is this coming from? Utilize the WhatsApp, talk to other students about it. And if you're feeling really, really confused, like this came out of complete left field and you have no idea what's going on, you're also always welcome to email me and be like, hey, Leah, I really don't get what's going on here. But yeah, provided that, you put your answers in your own words and you're really like, that is like, you're not just copying somebody else's work, right? It's great to work with other people. Okay, so in the next module period, so module period 2, you'll see that we spend a lot of time on that subject. It's analyzing, breaking down arguments, and analyzing deductive and non-deductive arguments. And don't worry, you'll learn, if you don't know what those things are, you're going to learn about what they are shortly. But so one of the main things that we're focusing on for that first module period is really getting a lot of practice doing that method. If you remember, I talked about in the first introductory lecture video, we're going to be really practicing that method a lot, which involves like just kind of like some like workbook type stuff where you're going to be reading short little blurbs that are effectively arguments, picking out what the main point is and what the evidence is, and then talking about the kinds, and then learning to identify the kinds of two different kinds of reasoning involved with these arguments. So it's a little tiny bit like maybe doing something a bit mathy, but don't worry, I hate math. This is nothing like math. But it's a specific procedure, and there are some ways that you need to learn how to write it out. You just need a lot of practice doing it. Hence, practice worksheet. So this practice worksheet on breaking down arguments is going to give you a little bit of practice to do this thing, to perform this method, to use this method, before you have to turn in the module 2 worksheet, right? And I should mention now, and I'll definitely mention it again, learning how to break down these arguments and do stuff like this, that is definitely going to be on the midterm exam. So getting lots of practice here is a really going to be a really great opportunity for you to get good at something that matters for your grade. So on that note, I want to emphasize something really important when it comes to both the exams and the worksheet. So you're not always going to get answers perfectly right the first time around. Part of the way that I help you in this class, you're going to learn in this class, is by reading my feedback. Like, I give a lot of feedback on the work that you submit. And I'm not a instructor that just says like, oh, this doesn't make sense, or like crosses it out in red and is like wrong. I explain, what's missing, or something maybe that you misunderstood. So if you say get not so great grade on a module worksheet or this practice worksheet, or even some questions on the exam, I always give students the opportunity to resubmit their work. So you turn something in, grade doesn't go great, you're really confused, maybe you're a little strapped for time, you kind of rushed it. You will always have the opportunity to resubmit that assignment. All right, so I mentioned the exams, and talk about it now. First and foremost, you're going to have a midterm exam and you're going to have a final exam, and the final exam is not cumulative, meaning once you take the midterm exam, I mean, hopefully you hold on to some things, maybe there's some things that you found interesting, you learned, whatever, but essentially you could say goodbye to everything that we did in the previous module periods on that. After the midterm, the material that we cover, that is going to be the material that's on the final exam. So you're going to be given exams on 2 chunks of material we cover. So it is going to be modules 2 and 3 for the midterm exam, and then modules 4 and 5, that material is what's going to be covered in the final exam. And if you have some questions, you're welcome to reach out to me, ask on the Q&A forum. The way that these exams are going to work, you're going to be doing them online. You will have 48 hours to complete them. So and you can look at the course schedule. You'll see, like, I posted on, I'll post it on one day, and then 48 hours later, it's due. And if you have any questions about that, you're welcome to reach out to me. Okay, so before moving on to the next pieces of information on the syllabus, I mentioned this before, I want to reiterate this again. Extra credit is definitely offered in this class. Sometimes in a lecture video, I might ask a question and I'll be like, email me your answer. So if you watch all of the lecture videos, then you'll be able to take advantage of those extra credit options. Additionally, I might post things through announcements, things like this. If I see everybody's really interested about a particular subject, I might post just a little prompt question where you write several sentences, your response to it, or give me examples of things, or things like this. On top of that, if we're moving along in the term and you've struggled with some of the materials, or perhaps didn't do so well on the midterm exam, something like this, you are welcome to reach out to me and request some extra credit options. I just should warn you ahead of time, if something like that happens, I'm happy to do that for students that are trying and struggling. if I have a student who just hasn't logged on for like a month and all of a sudden at the very end of the term wants to do a bunch of extra credit, that won't be an option. So bear in mind, the request to do extra credit might not always be granted. It may be denied depending on the circumstances, but for the most part, that's something that, I have that there again, because I know that this is everyone's first, this is most people's first time taking an async class. I think the majority, if not all of you, are freshmen, right? So I don't want there to be a lot of stress if mistakes happen, if mess ups happen, and extra credit is there for you to sort of keep in the back of your mind, so you don't have to feel too stressed out. But again, like, you will have to stay on top of things to some extent. This isn't something that you can do to just like save your grade at the very end of the semester. All right. Timing and feedback of grades. Give me about 2 weeks. Might take a little bit longer. Got a lot going on this semester. But for the most part, I'll be able to turn around, give you that feedback within a couple of weeks. Now, if you needed an extension for, say, a worksheet, that 2 weeks is completely out the window. I cannot promise late work. I can't promise any timeline where you're going to be getting my feedback. This is something that's important to bear in mind, especially for the exam, because on the 2 exams, you're going to see a lot of questions that look a lot like those worksheet questions. So my feedback on those worksheets, like that extensive feedback I mentioned before, is going to help you a lot. Now, if you turn in those worksheets late, I can't promise that you'll get my feedback before the exam. So bear that in mind in the event that you do need to contact me and get an extension. All right, so pretty much the last thing I'm going to talk about in this video is academic integrity. All right, so first and foremost, there is no Googling, searching on the internet, looking on Safari, whatever, questions that are on like worksheets or discussion board prompts or things like that. Strictly prohibited in this class. This is just going to be about you reading, listening, or watching things and then trying to explain how you understood them. Or perhaps even like giving an example of certain things, stuff like that. So when you're doing, say, a module worksheet, you are only allowed to look at the assigned course material. So that stuff that I post on Blackboard, like readings, podcast videos, lecture videos, and PowerPoint slides, to help you answer those questions. So no internet searching, no Googling, nothing like that. This is just about you pushing yourself to explain things in your own words. Okay, which takes me to the subject of plagiarism. I think this is probably a thing that all of you are familiar with. You've gotten plenty of different spiels from plenty of different instructors. You're probably hearing a lot about this right now in your classes since the beginning of the term. Not allowed in this class. It's against Lehman's policy, all that good stuff. One thing that I really want to emphasize when it comes to my attitude about plagiarism is that I don't think, and I surprisingly, I feel like when I poll students about this, they actually disagree with me, but I just don't think it's like this morally bad thing to do in and of itself. Rather, like, I don't think of it as stealing, right? Especially because I think a lot of things that count, I guess, as plagiarism now, probably people using ChatGPT and stuff like this, or just Googling something on the internet. It's like some random website, right? Like, who are you really stealing from? Who are you hurting there? That's not why I think it's wrong. I also understand that the vast majority of the time I'm dealing with a plagiarism issue, it's not because the student is like lazy or trying to just like maliciously pull one over on me. It's because they are overwhelmed. They are either overwhelmed because they have spent a bunch of time trying to understand something and they don't think they do, and they've gotten in their head about it and they don't know. they take to the internet, they start Googling, and then they start seeing things. They're like, well, I didn't know this, and this person wrote this so much better. I'm just going to put this down on the paper, right? Like, they are trying there, they are doing work, right? I understand. The other way that people get overwhelmed, especially in asynchronous classes, is running short on time with things, right? So, and I don't have any doubt that everybody here is really trying their best. I know you're in an adjustment period right now. Like I said, I get async. This is probably your first time taking an asynchronous class. I know that things can be really overwhelming, and I have a lot of sympathy for that. Which is why if you ran short, you messed up, you ran short on time, right? You have a module, the module 2 worksheet is due midnight tonight. It is 11 p.m. You haven't even started the discussion board that's due that night, right? Like, you got all this stuff piled up. You have a bunch of other classes. You're working full time on top of this, like, right? Email me and ask for an extension. I would much rather a student ask for more time on an assignment than took to the internet. Don't feel any shame. Again, I know that a lot of this stuff is new for all of you, so I'm here to make accommodations and figure out a way to make that work. You know, within reason, right? Like, I can't, every single assignment give somebody an extra like week or two for various reasons. But if there's like several times where things just get kind of out of control, you need to ask. And that's, you ask for an extension instead of taking to the internet. At the end of the day, I really appreciate that. Even if it's 11, like I said, or it's like 11:59 and you're like, I'm nowhere near done on this worksheet, email me, ask for an extension. I will automatically give you an extra 24 hours on that assignment. Like, you won't get dinged down if you just submit that assignment a day late. And then if you need more time than that, it'll be a conversation between the two of us. So the reason why I have this policy in place, right? And this is especially true when it comes to using things like ChatGPT and stuff like that, is, like I said, I spend a lot of time giving my feedback to students. Like, I'm sitting there reading your answers to questions and going, okay, what I'm trying to get in your head, like, okay, this is how they understood the material. I think they misunderstood. What's the best way, the clearest way I can communicate that to the student, right? Also trying to be like constructive and not mean, like, this doesn't make sense, right? I'm trying to get in your head. I'm trying to really help you understand how to use this method I was talking about, think through things in this particular kind of way, make sure you understand the concepts that we discuss in this class. And when I am doing that with work that was, writing that was like copied and pasted from a random website, or especially if I'm like doing that with something that came from ChatGPT, and you didn't tell me about it, that defeats the whole purpose of why I am here. I am here to help you get better at this kind of thinking, not to get in the head of the empty head of a chatbot that's just like regurgitating information. So again, if you ran short on time, or if you feel really confused about the material, you're just not going to get it in on time, email me with your questions, or email me, ask for an extension. It's always going to be better than going the plagiarism route. Okay. That takes me to sort of like this other part of plagiarism that we need to talk about, which, and again, I'm sure you're hearing a lot about this right now, is on the subject of chatbots and AI writing tools. Okay. So when I say chatbot, I mean ChatGPT, Bard, Quillbot. There's a lot of other things out there where like you can like, type in a question and it spits out a seemingly, at least seemingly, coherent answer to that question, right? You are not allowed to do that in this class unless you follow the guidelines for using chatbots. So I know that this tech is really helpful in a lot of ways. I think it's helpful in ways, I have a lot of students that will go on to like TikTok and stuff like this if they're feeling confused about things. And I know that these like different like philosophy videos on TikTok are there's a lot of different subject like depending on like the subject I'm teaching on, stuff like this, but where it's like these like short, really easy to digest and understand explanations of different things. Like some people, it can be really helpful, especially if like you've done the work, you've done the reading, but you're just having trouble getting it all together. And I know that ChatGPT can kind of function in the same way, which is why you are allowed to use, you are actually the one time, I guess it kind of goes against a little bit of the thing I was saying before about not being able to like Google things. At least like you are allowed to ask chat to just type in, copy and paste questions on worksheets, put that into Chat GPT and use that answer, but you have to do it following certain guidelines. So the guidelines for using a chatbot can be found under guidelines for using chatbots. That's its own tab on the Blackboard menu under course resources. So I have its own tab there so everybody can see it right off the bat. And there you can see sort of the steps that you need to take. Roughly, the thing that you have to do if you want to use ChatGPT is first just try to answer the question yourself. So before you go to ChatGPT and you copy and paste that question on the worksheet, you just try to answer the question yourself, even if it's like kind of incoherent, doesn't make sense. Get something down. Then you can go to ChatGPT, ask it the question. You can tell me what ChatGPT says. And then after that, you say whether or not you think ChatGPT missed anything. It's a little bit of extra writing, but at the end of the day, if you're kind of feeling maxed out, like you don't get it, but you did do the work, you did the readings or watch the videos, listen to the podcast, like you are welcome to use ChatGPT. You just have to like try a little bit to answer the question on your own first before you do that, and then reflect just a little bit on what ChatGPT's answers were. Okay. So I was talking about chat. So if you notice here, the use of large language models, so LLM, large language model chatbots. So large language model meaning like these are the chatbots that have these like massive databases, largely from like stolen copyrighted content, that have trained these programs to like produce writing that sounds coherent, right? So that tech is in the same category as another kind of tech that I often gets referred to as an AI writing tool. So it's in the same, so that, you know, that ability to produce these for a program to produce like this coherent kind of like text and things like this. That's all large language models. We have the chatbots like ChatGPT, and then we have something slightly different, which are AI writing tools. So AI writing tools, you're probably most familiar with programs like Grammarly, right? Or Microsoft Editor. These are programs that you write out a sentence and you get a criticism back like, of, you know, what you're saying here is repetitive, or you know, you've had the subject of the sentence at the end and it makes it confusing, or this is a run-on sentence, here's like a way to make what you're saying more concise, where you have, you know, whole blocks of text. Like if you're using Grammarly, that Grammarly is like, okay, if you change your sentence to this, then it'll be like grammatically better or whatever. And Microsoft Editor also has this feature, which is distinct from spell check on Microsoft Editor. So spell check is when you see the little red squiggly lines, right? That tells you if you have a typo. And then there's like there's blue lines for when there's like a grammatical error. So those are like typically just like one or two words that you need to change versus the AI writing tools that are built into Microsoft Editor. And like, definitely that's like what Grammarly is, right? It's like, learn how to make your writing more professional and all that stuff. So again, these are this is an AI that's trained using these large data sets, the large language model AI, but these writing tools aren't coming up with answers for you. They're just helping you write better. So those tools are not allowed in this class. They're like ChatGPT, yes, Grammarly, no. And if you have any questions about that, you're welcome to reach out to me. The reason why Grammarly no is because there's no way around it. I'm gonna have to use AI writing detectors in this class. And for anyone who's immediately going, oh gosh, like those things give false positives all the time. I have literally 9, sometimes 10 different AI writing detectors that I use to run students' work through. So like you can like rest at ease. But the thing is the AI writing detectors cannot distinguish between work that ChatGPT produced and work that Grammarly helped you write. So because I'm going to have to be using those AI writing detectors for people that say try to like pass ChatGPT's work off as their own, I don't want to make any false accusations. I don't want somebody who's out there just using Grammarly doing all the work for me to be like, an AI wrote this, there's going to be consequences. I don't want that to happen. So to ensure it doesn't, you have to turn all of those functions off. Sometimes you're going to need to turn off, like if you use Google Docs and you have Grammarly in your browser, you will need to shut Grammarly off when you're doing work for this class. Like, do not follow any of the suggestions from Grammarly. Do not follow any suggestions from Microsoft Word. Like, especially, when you're seeing it's like rephrasing entire sentences and stuff like that. If you do that, it will look like a chatbot wrote it. And if I end up running your work through, it's going to come up as positive. So this is why I say no Grammarly, no AI writing tools in this class. All right. Now, if you're saying, oh my goodness, but I have such bad grammar, or my typos are all over the place, or this like Grammarly is the thing that saved me, Microsoft Editor, like that's like, it's like made my writing so much better. Like I'm going to get such bad grades in this class because of my bad writing. No, you're not. I do not care. As long as even if I have to squint my eyeballs and like, because like so many typos are bad or whatever, I don't care about grammar. I do not care about typos. I don't care about any of that stuff. You are never, ever, ever going to get marked down for typos and grammatical errors in this class. So you can turn all that stuff off. Don't worry. It's not going to hurt your grade. That's not the kind of like writing you're going to be getting better at doing in this class. That's not what we're trying to do here. Okay. Now, when it comes to consequences, first time it happens, 0 for the assignment, write you a little email, talk to you about it. If it happens more than once, then there's going to be other bigger consequences. And if you want to know more about these things, I have a link to the handbook below about it's Lehman specific policy on academic integrity. All right. So async class, which means that, you have due dates and you have these like set due dates or whatever. If it's the case that, on a Sunday, you have an observance, like some religious observance where like you're not supposed to be sending emails or using the internet, I understand. Let me know, ideally a couple weeks in advance. But yeah, I'm always happy to, obviously, always happy and legally obligated to respect your religious observances. So just as best you can, try to keep me in the loop. All right. So the last bit of info on our syllabus is the course schedule. Now, on the course schedule, what you will find are the things that you need to read, listen, and or watch every week, as well as the assignments. And on the right here, the assignments that are due. Now, I know a lot of you are probably going to rely on notifications from Blackboard when I post assignments and things like this. I am going to do my best to hustle and like get all of those assignments up there, so you're getting those Blackboard notifications and you'll be able to see assignments coming up. But in general, the best thing that you can, one of the best things that you could do for yourself in this class is either have a really easily accessible digital copy of just this part of the syllabus. So it would just be like pages 7 through 12 of the syllabus, like some really easy to access digital place where you have this. Or this would be even better if you print out, if you can, print out a copy of just this part of the syllabus. And if you have like a dedicated workspace and you can like put some tape on the wall or something, if you put this on the wall just so you could see it, it would, yeah, every time I've gotten students to do that, they've always been like, this was so helpful. I was able to keep track of everything. Because these asynchronous classes, it's so easy for the work to get away from you. So, like I said a little bit ago about the extra credit, if you've gone to the end of this video, that's great. I very much appreciate it. And I'm going to be giving you an extra credit option. So if you can print out a copy of the syllabus, put it on a wall, and you have it, like you can put it on a wall, or you have it like in a special binder or whatever, you can just send me like a single photo of it, like the first page of that, whatever. So like documented proof of that, or you want to send me like email me a screenshot of like the digital space where you have just the schedule easy, ready to access for you to look at. If you send me either of those, so whether it's like documentation of like a physical copy of the syllabus, like up on a wall somewhere in a special binder, or a digital copy of it, just the course schedule where it's like easy for you to access, look up assignments, what you need to read, watch, listen to, which assignments are due, easy place for you to pull that up. You send a screenshot of that. Either one of those images, you email that to me, right? I will automatically give you 10 points extra credit. So, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, my email address, and make sure to include 5169 or critical reasoning in the subject line. So that's what you need to do for that extra credit. So, we're almost all the way there. Just really quickly, I want to reiterate, just kind of finding this stuff on Blackboard. You can use the links here for like the assigned videos and podcasts and stuff like that. When it comes to the readings, right? All of these things, including the links or the readings, any of this stuff, can be found under the corresponding module period during which it was assigned. So if you log on to Blackboard, what you are going to see on our course Blackboard, like on the main menu, you have like that, like the bar off to the left, you'll see module 2. You'll see the module 2 tab. You click on the module 2 tab. There you will find this reading excerpt from workbook for arguments. You will see a link to this video that you are assigned. You will see a link to this lecture video. You will also see the assignment DBA number 1. And if you click on module 1 and you don't see any of these things, that just means you need to give me a minute. I'm trying to get everything up on Blackboard as quickly as possible, but within the next day or so, you will definitely see the links for those videos. So again, you can find all of these things, all of these the assigned materials for the course under their corresponding module period. So all the readings, podcasts, lecture videos, and so on for module 2, you find in the module 2's tab. Same thing goes for module 3, and so on. We also have the dates for the midterm and final exam. All right, so I very much appreciate everyone who got to the end of this lecture video with me. If you want to take advantage of that extra credit that I offered here at the end, you are more than welcome to. It's an easy 10 points. Just need some screenshots or photos or whatever. Send that to me in an email. And make sure to include 5169 in the subject line or critical reasoning. All right, everyone. Welcome again to Critical Reasoning. If you have any questions, you can check the Q&A forum. You are also welcome always to email me. All right. Good luck with your first week.